One question I would have loved to ask Derek Chauvin, 5 minutes, 5 days, however length of time it was after the George Floyd incident. And this is one thing that you never really ask your police officers, right? And this is something that you need to think about when you get all up in arms about, oh, shit, well, so-and-so this or so-and-so that, or police brutality. The one question that I would have loved to ask then, not now, because Derek Chauvin has had a ton of time to think about. The one question I would have liked to ask him is, Officer Chauvin, why did you choose to stay in that tactical position for that length of time? Guys, I want to break this down, and I'm going to die on this hill for Derek Chauvin right now. And I'm never going to defend what Derek Chauvin did, because you're not going to want to hear this, but it has to be said. Somebody has to say it. What Derek Chauvin did was worse than murder. I'm going to say it again. Your head's going to explode. You're going to be pissed off. You're going to unfriend me. You're going to unfollow me, all this kind of crap. What Derek Chauvin did was worse than murder, and I'm going to explain why. For those of you who are not involved with defensive tactics and law enforcement, the job of the police is not to punish. The job of the police is not to punish. That's your judge. That's after the jury makes a decision or the bench makes a decision. The judge's job is to punish, but more so it's to correct, right? That's why we have corrections, the Department of Corrections, because we believe in the society that it doesn't matter that every single George Floyd in the world, I don't care if they're a gun-toting pregnant lady holding in hostage, fentanyl-taking criminal scumbag, we believe in the rehabilitation system, which fucking doesn't work. It really doesn't work. But that's what we do. The job of the police officer is to keep the peace and maintain order in a free society. I'm going to say it again. The job of the police is to keep the peace and maintain order in a free society. A lot of you are coming in my DMs and you're trying to justify with so much information. Well, Izzo, Floyd had this in his system. Floyd was a career criminal, blah, blah, blah. And I know that so many of you civilians, and I'm going to say what so many of you will not say. You are in an emotional state of being heightened because you consume non-stop information on your social media repetitively, click, 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 click. And what has social media shown the black community to be? They've shown them to be a bunch of out of control criminals who are never held accountable for anything. How many knockout games have you seen scroll across your feed? How many times have you seen a black kid attack a white kid, a black guy stomping on a white lady's head, a bunch of black kids winding up going to a store and looting? How many times have you seen that? Your social media has conditioned you to thinking that the black community is 100% lawless and beyond control. That's what they did. And that's what the powers want want you to think, because they want you so frustrated. That's all you see the black community as, an element of evil that needs to be eradicated. But you'll never admit that out loud. Until you're ready to acknowledge that you're happy that George Floyd is dead because somebody was held accountable, happens to be black, who happens to be, and then insert what the media told you. The media told you he was a drug abuser. The media told you he tried to pass off a fake $20 bill. The media told you that he held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach at one time. All those facts, put it in your head. George Floyd should not have been on this earth. You pass judgment. But let's go back. George Floyd was under the care of a police officer. And I'm going to tell you to get this through your fucking mind, because it's my deepest wish that if you choose to die on the hill to support Derek Chauvin, that whatever Derek Chauvin did to George Floyd happens exactly to a loved member of your family, so that you can get firsthand an experience to seeing how you feel then. Because when you're in my DMs and you're justifying it left and right, the answer to the question is very simple. Remove everything or keep it the same. Your mother is on a dose of fentanyl. Your mother stuck a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. Your mother did whatever, and a cop has her in handcuffs for 9 minutes and is kneeling approximately in the area of her neck. Would you be okay with that? And if your answer is anything other than yes or no, you're trying to make yourself feel comfortable that you're just happy that George Floyd is dead because of the persona he is. And I accept that. That's fine. Let's go back to the police. The job of the police is to keep the peace and maintain order in a free society. The use of force continuum is very simple. You wind up using whatever force is necessary to effect an arrest. I'm going to say it again. You use whatever force is necessary to effect an arrest. If I'm that cop and I show up on scene and my uniform presence alone, and I go, George, and he goes, done, handcuffs behind the back, cuff me right now, that force, that show of force, was necessary to effect an arrest. If I got to use a baton, OC, which is pepper spray, a taser, which I can't stand, a control tactic, a nerve strike, whatever, a chokehold, which I don't know why they removed those. If I had to want to use one of those to put him into custody, into handcuffs, take him out of the fight, then that is the force necessary to effect an arrest. When it comes down to deadly force is whatever force is necessary to terminate life-threatening behavior. And I'm going to tell you this one because a lot of you can't comprehend this. If I pull up on scene, I get a dispatch call of a subject who's got a blowtorch and he's lighting a daycare on fire, and I pull up on scene and he's got that torch and he is actively torching and he could hear and smell the little babies cooking, I don't have to say a word. I can walk right up, put my gun to his temple, and I can empty the magazine into his head without stop, police, any of that. That is force that is needed to terminate life-threatening behavior. The life-threatening behavior then ends. If the same scenario is there, I pull up and the guy's torching, I got the babies screaming and cooking, and my heart is breaking because I can hear them and I know who's in there, and I pull up, get out of my car, draw my pistol. By the time I get my pistol here, if he drops everything, puts his hands up, that's it. I cannot use deadly force on him. A lot of you have a hard time understanding that because you want the police to be able to punish people on sight because of your emotions. What Derek Chauvin did was worse than murder for a specific reason: intent. All of you are coming to the aid of Derek Chauvin, or anytime a criminal is terminated or put into cuffs. And what do you always say? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what you always say, right? I've said it a million times. Do we know what George Floyd's intent was that day? And so many of you are like, yeah, his intent was to go rob a store. His intent was to pass a fake $20 bill. If you are now the court of public opinion, and you are passing what you believe George Floyd's intent was, then 100% you had better say to yourself, it was Derek Chauvin, a seasoned police officer who swore an oath to the Constitution and to the citizens and his village to keep the peace and maintain order in a free society, to protect people's constitutional rights, then it was Derek Chauvin's intent to kneel on the body. I don't care if it was the neck area, shoulder area, I don't care where it was. He chose to kneel and punish George Floyd for 9 minutes. That was his intent. Oh, Izzo, but it wasn't on his neck and he could breathe, all that. I agree with you. I'm a defensive tactics expert. I'm a martial arts expert. His carotid artery wasn't obstructed because he would have passed out within seconds. His airway wasn't obstructed. He could breathe. But how many of you remember playing football out in the playground when you were a kid before the days of pads, and all of a sudden you got 9 or 10 of your friends on you? You could breathe. You could breathe, but under the weight and under the fear and under all that, you're like, get off me, get off me, get off me. And your friends are laughing because they're taking their time getting off you. You remember those days, right? In that position, with Chauvin around this area, 2 other cops on the hips and on the legs, you got 3 grown men pinning somebody down who's already in handcuffs. Fine, that's great, whatever. If there was no crowd there, okay, that's a different story. But I want you to think about this for a second. This is why what Derek Chauvin did was not only unacceptable, but it was worse than murder. Derek Chauvin was showing off in front of a group of people that I'm the motherfucking police, and what I say goes. And he chose to pin a black man that he probably knew as a regular down in that position of submission for 9 minutes just because he fucking could. And if that is something that you are truly okay with in this country, in this time, knowing that thanks to Barack Obama back in 2009, he declared the war on police by saying the Cambridge police acted stupidly, and ever since then, it's been increasingly hard on cops, all the way to the point where some cops are fucking terrified to do their job because the studies have been shown. Go to forcescienceinstitute.com and you will see that it's been proven that cops physically hesitate longer with use of force on black subjects than they do white subjects. The data's out there. If you're so big on science and data, it's out there. But now you're all in the corner of, we need cops who aren't afraid to do their job. We need cops who are going to do their job, but you know they're going to get prosecuted. You know they're going to get vilified. You know the court of public opinion is going to wind up doing whatever they can to expose them, dox them, and ruin their lives. But you want people punished. You want somebody answering for your emotions. And because you're tired of the black kids being out of control, playing the knockout game, stomping and kicking on the heads of white ladies, knocking out Asian people when they walk by, looting the nearest stores and never being held accountable, it's time for you to fess up that the reason you support Derek Chauvin is you're tired of all that bullshit and you're happy that there's one less black criminal on the street. And until you're ready to admit that, you're full of shit. Derek Chauvin, what he did in a time of social, racial division where the police and the public need to be together, and it's the police's job because they're in a position to take that higher road and set the standard. Derek Chauvin's intentions, his intent was to punish George Floyd. He was judge, jury, and sadly in a position of being executioner on that when he had no fucking right to or authority to. His job is to keep the peace and maintain order in a free society. And as much as you want to slide in my DMs, as much as you want to give me fentanyl information, there is nothing you can say that justifies holding a person in that position who was already in cuffs, who didn't display any resistance other than not wanting to get into the squad car. He posed no threat to anyone else, not even himself. Guys, I'm going to die on this hill. And this is the last I'll talk about it because you can't get through to people. Some of you are so fucking bloodthirsty. You just want somebody to pay. And I think it's time to examine your own heart. You can absolutely say George Floyd is a scumbag. You know, I'm glad he's gone. That's fine. That's who you choose to be. Me, I'm actually hoping that his last moments or whenever that George Floyd actually accepted Christ and he's in fucking heaven. I actually, believe it or not, I pray for that shit. Because what he went through, I don't know what his life was like. I don't know what drove him to the point of putting a gun to a fucking pregnant woman's head. I've never been in the position to be so pressured throughout fucking life to do that. So I'm not going to condemn George Floyd for that. But I also was a cop. And I also know that my job, no matter how fucking shitty it was, my job was to protect the public because that's what they fucking gave me a paycheck to do. What I, as a man of integrity, swore I would do. And no matter how bad I fucking wanted to choke the shit out of them for doing what they did, I could control my emotions in that time. What Derek Chauvin did was worse than murder. And so many of you want the police to be able to punish people on the street. Sad fact is, again, it is my deepest wish that if you choose to die on the hill of what Derek Chauvin did was right, I hope it happens in the exact same circumstance or something similar to someone you love. Someone you love is in custody. I don't care if they lit a daycare on fire. I don't care if they went through a red light and it was a big misunderstanding. I hope a cop chooses that day to punish your loved one with intent. And I want you to feel exactly how the rest of the world should feel at the terror that our police not only have enough power to do that, but because somebody was black and a criminal, they now have a majority of the public defending them to do it. Your police answer to you. Your state's attorneys, your district attorneys answer to you. Your elected officials answer to you. The reason why you are supporting Derek Chauvin and not George Floyd is because you fucked up in the process by turning the keys of the kingdom over to every elected official, never holding them accountable, and now you're trying to clean up your mess out of pride. Guys, that's it. Hope that makes sense. This is the last I'm going to talk about it. But what Derek Chauvin did from a police officer's point of view, in the fact of intentions or everything, that's what we base criminal sentencing on, criminal arresting on as, he committed worse than murder. He should rot in jail.